Good evening and welcome back to part two of communicating with men. Wow, what a heated topic. We wanted to come back and cover some specific points this time. But first of all, hello, ladies. How are you this evening?
Hey Liz,
Uh,
hey Jackson.
hello. How you ladies doing today?
Yeah.
That's right. Thumbs up.
So we left off with a quote from a gentleman, and he said, "The choices you make creates your conditions." And Jasmine, would you like to speak on that?
Um,
You're in. You're just getting in. Okay, Tina Marie, take it from there.
So he said he
the
said that
choices.
the choices you make create
Creates
the
your conditions.
that's actually true. In life, just about for everything, there are choices, there are consequences. Um, there are sometimes you can make a great choice and reap the benefit, or you can make a poor choice either unbeknownst to yourself or fully knowing that you're making a poor choice. You have to deal with those consequences. So I definitely agree with that gentleman. He sounds like a really smart man.
But he'll be coming on to our show and to our panel in January. We have some awesome speakers that are coming in January that are
Yes,
going to add some flavor to our discussions. So
yes,
I
I need
can't wait. I'm
flavor.
excited.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited for that.
Okay,
Yes.
so let's go back to where the heat was there. So the heat was this. Well, here's another topic though. How do you have a difficult discussion with your man or with a man?
That would depend,
Nicely.
right? Nicely, no matter who he is to you,
That's
Okay,
right.
respectfully.
okay,
But the conversation is tailored to the relationship you have with that man. The person that you had on earlier said
mm-hmm.
that men and women cannot be friends. Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Oh, let me watch my mouth. Yes, that's not true. But you definitely cannot talk to your guy friend the same way you would your man or potential man that you want to be in your life romantically. So the conversation is tailored a little bit to the relationship level, to the
okay,
relationship level, because you're not gonna be all, you know, talking intimately on that level with somebody that's just your friend. You're not gonna be
okay.
talking to them like that. But
You
definitely,
shouldn't.
what Jasmine said, openly, honestly, and respectfully with anybody.
That's right.
I think that's a great point. When you say respect, I think that's a lost. I was going to say a lost art. It's lost now. People don't. I'm not gonna say all people because I don't speak in that, but I'm just saying that in relationships, I think a lot of relationships end up being temporary because the mutual respect is not there. And I think you have to start with trust, and you also have to start with, or you must start with mutual respect, and then there also comes in, the level of caring, because I think when you truly care about somebody, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, whomever it is, if you really care about that person, you don't want to see them hurt. And we know that our
Um,
words can hurt. We learned that from early childhood. Sticks and stones can break my bones, and it says, but names will never hurt me. But that is so not true.
That is not true.
That is not true, because the things that you say to people, it truly affects them. It affects them
It
in their
does.
in their mind, and it can carry on. I think I talked about
On and on.
it does. It carries on and on and on. And so you never know how something that you say really affects another person. And especially if it's someone that you are in a relationship with, I believe that it is our responsibility or duty to build those up around us, to encourage them, to, inspire them to be the best that they can be. And if you are not respecting them or tearing them down or playing games with them or doing that masquerade shuffle with them, How are you, you're leaving that person in a, and I think too, this is one thing that really resonated with me. And it took me a long time to understand this. If a person really cares about you, or I'll say a man really cares about you, he doesn't want you to be confused as to his intention. Okay. And that's a signal, ladies. That's a red flag that that person is playing games with you. If they are not clear with you about what their intention is, whether it be a friendship, whether it be they're interested in you romantically, and honestly and truthfully, when you meet somebody, I was always taught that you meet them and you observe them in all seasons. Okay, meaning that you see how they interact with other people, how they treat their mother, how they treat their children. You learn how that person, not just by what's coming out of their mouth, but is what they're saying, their beliefs, their philosophies, their level of integrity lining up with how they act, because they're going to react, they're going to act, you know what I'm saying? So these are all things that, my pastor used to tell us years ago. He used to say that it was stupid suffering. He's a teacher on relationships, and stupid suffering was when you saw red flags and you ignored them, or you made excuses for someone that treated you bad, or just all sorts of things. But we have those triggers, and we as women, for some reason, we have been gifted with this inner clock that tells us certain things, and it's only when we don't listen to that intuition that we then go through some of those things that he labeled, my pastor, ex-pastor, or pastor. He said stupid suffering, and that's what he called it, stupid suffering. Anybody want to weigh in on that?
Well, I think that that's true. When you're speaking with someone of the opposite sex, when you were saying you have to date in all seasons or see them in just about every different avenue of their life, see how they're reacting to other people. If you get started in a situation and that gentleman is describing his last wife, his last girlfriend, his last situation, he's calling that woman every other name but her name she was given at birth. Guess what, ladies? That's a red flag, because he's going to do the very same thing to you the second he's disappointed, upset, hurt, or does not have his way. Or if you decide, no, this isn't working for me, how do you think he's going to talk about you? So
that's a good point. That's a good point, Tina Marie, when you said about when he's disappointed, or when you say no. How does he react? That's a huge red flag. How does he react? Does he treat you? Right. Does he treat you a different way? Like does he mad at you? Does he punish you with withdrawing himself? Does he make you feel bad about having an opinion? Does he make you feel? How do you feel with that person? Do you feel like the queen that you are intended to be? Do you feel like you can be yourself? I mean, and like really be yourself.
What type of man would you say? What type of man would you say that is? A controlling man? What type of man would you say that is?
A man that does what?
And he's...
Go ahead.
If you tell him no, and he throws a tantrum or treats you differently.
He wants to control.
Attitude.
He wants to control and contain you. And so he's using those behaviors to control you. You know what I'm saying? He's not allowing you to be, and I use like butterflies. He's not allowing you to be the butterfly that God intended for you to be. And so oftentimes, and this has happened, oftentimes, and I have some friends that have actually, gotten married when they were younger. And as they started to grow, then they started to really come into who they are. Like I was married at 19 years old. And that was too young for me to get married, because I was always mature, but I was more mature than he was. So I ended up, when I had my first daughter, I ended up with 2 children, because I had to take care of him, because I was brought up in a church that said, you don't divorce, you don't leave, you stay and you make this decision and you stay in it. But I'm just, and I just continue to believe this, that, I don't think that God intended for our days to be here in suffering. And I think that, we are forgiven for the things of our youth. I think that as we continue to grow and we continue to develop, some of those decisions that we made can, on one of the earlier shows, the therapist, he said that with some of the people that come through therapy that are in domestic violence, they're saying that they don't leave because they are because of their religious beliefs, that they're not able to divorce, that they have to stay and suffer because they made a mistake. Well, domestic violence comes in multiple ways. I mean, domestic violence, mental, psychological, physical, financially. There are so many ways that domestic violence shows its or rears its head. And so, the discovery that you're in domestic violence, I was in domestic violence for, multiple years and didn't even realize that I was in domestic violence because, he wasn't pouncing on me, but I was miserable. I was sad. I was ashamed because I was a professional woman, hiding things, and so all it did was escalate it into physical before I left that relationship. But it starts to deteriorate your self-worth, your self-esteem, and we walk around with this halo of embarrassment and shame. And it's like I don't think that God ever intended us to be in that type of it's agony, and I say it from experience because I've been there. So it's so important, and I bring this to our panel, it's so important that we take the time to get to know the person that you intend on spending your life with. This is your partner. This is somebody that is going to make decisions for you. This is somebody that will be making a decision for you if something happens and you're incapacitated. And if this person does not have your best interests at heart and don't really love you, they can make a life or death decision for you based on some of their issues that they have. So it's a huge thing when we haven't been taught to date. We don't know what to look for if you haven't been taught. You don't know, that this person is lying to you up front. You don't know what to look for. But that's why I'm so happy that we have panels like this and that we have now, research. I always talk about Taraji P. Henson because she's advocating for mental illness, because sometimes we're in relationships and we don't even know that that person has a mental illness. I was married for years. I've been married twice. I was married for years in a marriage that I didn't understand that this person was clinically depressed. And I didn't understand it. So some of the things that was happening, I'm just freaked out because here I am in a second marriage that is a marriage from hell. And so, Tina Marie talked about us being seasoned once before. And I think that's so true. Because once you really come into knowing who you are and knowing, your purpose and walking in your purpose, you make different decisions. And you make decisions that you say, okay, this is what I want my life to be. This is whom I want to live my life with. Like we talked about with the men and if you're living a celibate lifestyle and they said, oh, that's a fairy tale. That's not true. You can't go out here and date and then no, that is not true. You can. You absolutely can. And I just, the world has a skewed version of it. And then look at the divorce rate. If we're going to go by the world standards, look at the divorce rate. That means that if the divorce rate is as high as it is, that means that the world system of dating is not correct. I mean, if you're not getting the desired result, then there's something wrong with the formula.
Right. I have made a choice for myself based off of my spiritual belief, my spiritual experiences, and my relationship with the Father. And I'm not willing at this point in my life to compromise for that, because we're talking about what I feel in my soul. I've been celibate going on 4 years. That has not been easy. I'm a woman. I have needs, feelings, emotions, and like everybody else. I want to be booed up too. Trust and believe. But no, because I have no more time to waste on boyish games. I have no more time to give the best of me away. And I'm not talking about just down there. I just don't have that time. I want to honor the Father with everything that I am and everything that's in me. So I will wait on Him. I cannot tell you how many times I have had gentlemen approach me. It is my belief. Now, if I'm wrong, I stand to be corrected. But I try to be honest straight up front. Listen, yes, I'm a working woman, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm this, that, and the third. But guess what? Above all that, I'm saved. I'm celibate. And I'm serious. You know what? Speaking of that, shame on you ladies out there that are using celibacy to draw in a man, to try to make yourself more attractive, more valuable, or I really want him to want me, so I'm gonna tell him I ain't had nobody. And you know you out there dishing it out like jelly and jam out there. Shame on you, because there are women that are truly saved, that are truly living celibate lifestyles. And it's not easy, but it's a commitment. It is a commitment to our belief. And we're not out there dishing it out there. And we're not trying to be extra sexy for a man so he will be turned on and to come to us. That's not what this is about. It is truly about our convictions and keeping ourselves for that right man that comes along. Because best believe when I walk down that aisle and that man looks at me down that aisle, he's going to know that he has a woman that has not been touched, that kept herself before the Lord, a chaste woman. Okay. So somebody told me that recently, that women were out here saying, oh yeah, no, I don't do that. I don't do that. I'm celibate. I'm this, I'm that, just to get the man really interested in her. And then they go out on the first date and you see all her America and everything else, because she's flying higher than the eagles like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so for when a woman like me comes along, these men think, oh, she's joking. She's not. And then they really do try. And I'm not trying to turn you on either by telling you that. I tell you to be honest, so that for the majority of guys that have done me like this recently, yes, turn around and keep walking the other way, brother, because I'm not changing and you're not going to break me either.
Well, let's go on to the other side of that also.
Well, okay then.
Let's go on the other side of that, because I was going to wait a while to disclose this, but we're talking about this topic, and I'm good with it. I'm experiencing a phenomenal courtship right now, and it's based on it is based on mutual respect. We respect one another. We just connected mentally, and I think that's so important, because when you establish that, when you've had all this bad, and then you finally meet somebody that actually listens to you, that your purpose is important to him, and that his standard is, it's not about what's between your thighs, but what's between your ears. I mean, that's his direct quote. And so when you meet somebody that respects that you're an entrepreneur, that you've had struggle in your life, that when you meet somebody, then you really can stop and say, wow, I truly was not in a fantasy for thinking that this could happen. Because like you said, Ms. Tina Marie, when you tell somebody that you're living a celibate lifestyle, and that you're saved, you believe in God, and oftentimes men do find that challenging. They find it to be a challenge, and because they're hunters, they try to tear that down or what have you. But there are a percentage of men out there that truly want their queen. And in that, when a woman treats him like a king, you have the relationship that God intended for us to have. And some folks say, oh, that's a fairy tale. Oh, that's this. Oh, that's that. No, you have to be true to yourself. What is it that you want? And then be able to say, I'm going to hold out for that. Now, I'm not going to say that we don't slip, we don't fall, we don't make mistake. I'm not saying that, because nobody's perfect. But what I'm saying is, when you have that conviction in your heart and you say, look, I don't want anything but this, not changing that person, any of that, but saying, this is what I want. This is what, and then going to God and praying about it, and staying true to that. Then you have communication that go on for hours and hours and hours, and it's exciting. And so I just wanted to encourage everybody, because when you hold true to thyself, like Miss Jasmine just said, if you hold true to yourself, know yourself. I took 4 years out. I took myself out the game, off the market and everything for 4 years. And I said, I need to get to know myself, because I'm the common denominator in all of this. So I keep making the same mistakes over and over again. So I'm going to take myself out of the game, and I'm going to learn myself. And guess what? I learned that I was okay with dating myself. I was okay with taking myself to the movie. I was okay with saying table for one. I was okay with buying myself something. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not about the stuff anyway, but treating myself the way that I deserve to be treated. And if you go back to some of the earlier podcasts, I talk about going through domestic violence, being a single mom, going through, disability because I banged my head and was in a car accident, but just there's a story about a man who had, it was a farmer, and he was plowing his land, and I may get it a little bit screwed up, but the gist of it is he was tilling his land, and he came across a hole, and his mule fell in the hole. And he tried everything that he could to pull that mule out. Couldn't get him out. So he said the humane thing to do would be to bury him, so he could just, go ahead and die in peace. Well, as he kept digging, and digging and dumping into the hole never filled up. So when he finally went to go look in the hole, his mule was walking up out of the hole, because what he had done was all of the dirt. So the accident, boom. The single parenting, boom. The bad marriages, boom. The getting, banged up and well, boom. You know what I'm saying? Everything. He just dumped it into that dirt. And instead of the mule laying there in the dirt saying, oh, woe is me, I'm out, I'm checking out of here, he piled it under his feet and he walked out of that hole. So this what all I'm saying is that life does dump a lot of dirt, sometimes mud, and it's heavy, and you're trying to shake it off. But you have to keep shaking it off, and you have to keep getting up. So what I say is, everybody in the world have all of these different opinions and different, mindsets because of their experiences and all of that. And I say, okay, but your view of the world does not have to be my reality. My reality comes from to myself be true. And so, so that's, I want to,
excuse me, you know what? I've seen it even recently. I had a supervisor a few years ago who, her and her husband, now she was a widow and he had never been married. When they got together, because of their relationship with the Lord, and she said sometimes it was really hard, but they had a purity standard and an understanding between the two of them that they would not be intimate until they said, I do. I've seen it. I've seen it in so many other people. And for once in my life, I want that for myself because I choose to honor the Father that way. So, what you have with your gentleman, and he sounds oh so wonderful, with your is you guys have lifted up a purity standard, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I don't want to get comments in the thing, oh, you just an angry woman and this, that, and this. No, it's not that. When you get enough thrown at you telling you you're this, that, and the third, or Tina Marie, you're single because you want to be. That's not true. That's not true. But those men that were not for me, look, I don't hold nothing against them. That's why I try to tell you up front, this is who I am. I may not be what you want. I may not be, if you're looking for something else, it's not me. Okay. And so you try to tell me yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, I want a good woman like you. I want a good woman like you. And then the first time we're out somewhere or do something, then you trying to do stuff you ain't got no business doing. Wait a minute, I know what's wrong with you? Okay, yeah, you can keep it moving. So it's not that, but it's a purity standard. So if you don't take out time to get to know yourself, learn yourself, and love yourself first, you're gonna have a mess with somebody else.
I love that purity
Absolutely.
standard. Jasmine, you
Love
want to
yourself.
weigh in?
The purity standard. Yeah, purity standard. I don't know. I don't have much to say. I mean, not on the purity standard. Just be true to yourself. I've been married a very, very long time, so I haven't been out in the dating field for a long time, but I have friends that tells me certain things that, you know, you're blessed to be married. Because out here, these men, or maybe we shouldn't call them men, all they want to do is just first day, let's go to a room or something like that. It's like, what happened to dating or courting or getting to know each other?
Mm-hmm,
That's
mm-hmm.
true. It
So
is.
it's
What
just,
you're saying is
I
very
don't,
true.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
guess maybe can hold some of the other women or ladies responsible for that, for giving it up so quickly or having no standards for themselves. So they think all women are like that, but every woman is not like that. So,
Absolutely.
and then when you come across someone with purity standards, they don't know how to act.
I love
They
that.
don't know how to
I
act.
love that purity
Yeah,
standards. That's I never knew the
purity
name or what
standards.
a name was for, but a purity standard. That is huge, and
And I
that's something that we should demonstrate and teach our young girls, because if they're seeing
absolutely.
what's on, because even when I don't get a chance to watch a lot of TV, but some of the movies, they encourage you to meet somebody, go on a date, and the expectation is that you're going to sleep with them. So I mean, that's what's being shown. So on the flip side of that, being taught that you know it does work if you stand true to your purity standard. Again, I love that. If you stand true to that and then go in, and now oftentimes it's because we don't know ourselves. Like, I didn't know my value, I didn't know myself. And so when you stop and you say enough is enough and too much is nasty, I need to go in and I need to really search and find out what's going on with me. Go to some therapy. I need to read some books. Iyanla Van Zant, In the Meantime. You know what I'm saying? Some, A Jewel in Her Crown by Priscilla Shivers. A Jewel in His Crown. He talks about how the woman is supposed to be that jewel, that jeweler's jewel. The one he goes in the back and he has to have a key and you got to have an invite to go back there. And he pulls out his black velvet cloth and he puts that jewelry on the cloth and you can't just touch it. You know what I'm saying? It has to be, it's right there. Now, all the costume jewelry that's on the shelf, you can pick it up, you can try it on, you can play with it, you can dirty it up, and then you can put it back on the shelf, because that's what the hunt is all about. When they pick you off the shelf, they can, they make you feel like you're so beautiful. What is it? In Sparkle, the remake that Whitney Houston made in Sparkle, there's a song, Love Will. That song is all because it says that what love will do. It'll have you upside down in circles. Because one minute it'll have you feeling like a queen or what have you, and then the next minute it'll drop you dead. And it says that love will. And that's the truth. That's what happens. Now, can it happen where, I just think when you have the blessings on it, it's just and then nothing is perfect. We discuss those things.
Yeah.
You talk
Right.
about it. You go back to the communication when we talked about communication. That means communicating. And I had to stop myself because I had an incident the other day where he was being so chivalrous and he was checking on me, and I, kind of snapped a little bit because I'm so used to being independent. And I had to go back, that's what I wanted to talk about too. I had to go back after talking to one of my sister girlfriends, because guess what? You have to have good women in your life. You have to have women in your life that have your best interests at heart, with no envy, no strife, no nothing. Is that they have your best interests at hand. And so I had to go back and I had to check myself. But guess what, ladies? When you're wrong, you have to be able to go back and apologize. And you have to go back and that's the part of lifting each other up. You have to lift each other up, and you have to see yourself. I think I talked to you about this, Tina Marie, when we said in one of the episodes that you have to be able to go, and that's why it's so important to have a prayer life. You have to go and say, Lord, show me me. Show me me.
Yeah.
Because we're human. And we are going to make mistakes. It's not if, it's a win, because we're all going to make mistakes, but we have to be able to come back. We have to be able to talk about it. We have to be able to respect each other. We have to be able to not hit below the belt, because some people argue and they hit below the belt. And then when you come back, now that person still got that in their head that you just did whatever. So it's a lot to growing up, maturing. The maturity, that's huge. Growing up, maturing, knowing who you are, fixing the issues that's inside of you, and then not making somebody else pay for somebody else's baggage or what somebody else did to you.
Right. That's right. That's key right there. And Liz, you know what? Nobody's disillusioned here. I'm not saying that I'm waiting for a perfect man. There is no such of a person.
Yes, ma'am.
I am holding out and waiting on God to put in my pathway the perfect man for me.
For you.
I'm not a perfect woman. So with love and respect and understanding, communication, you work those things out. But what's in my treasure chest, that doesn't belong to anybody but that man. And nobody's going to get it but that man of God.
Okay.
He has to be a man of God. So I'm not talking about perfection. I'm talking about appointment. Come on here, Holy Ghost. That's what I'm talking about. Who God has appointed for me. So when you know yourself, I don't know, you have to, it seemed like it took me going through a whole bunch of stuff just to get to this point, but I'm here now. And it's okay. You know why it's okay, you guys?
Why is it okay?
It's okay.
Why?
Because, listen, because I exist. Tina Marie exists.
That's right.
He does too.
And sometimes you got to kiss.
This is about God's timing.
Yes.
That's right.
All about God's timing, his perfect timing.
Yes.
Not me being perfect.
Yes.
Not my future husband being perfect.
Yes.
But about God's timing. Us coming together and us doing the absolute will of the Father together. That's what it's about.
It is.
And what you just did was, because the power of life or death lies in the tongue. And we're going to talk about that on a whole nother episode, because I've seen it play out time and time again. Life and death, the power of life and death lies in your tongue. What you speak out of your heart, your mouth will speak. What you think of manifests through your words. You know what I'm saying? Before anything exists, somebody thought about it. Before anything exists, somebody thought about it first. So therefore, that bears witness that it starts in your mind. So connecting with your king or your queen, if men are watching, connecting with them starts in the mind. You connect there first. And then everything else will follow. I think In Vogue said that, had that song. They said, free your mind and the rest will follow.
Sure will.
We got about 5 minutes, ladies.
You know what?
So I guess, ladies, we was
go ahead, baby.
We were supposed to address, I guess the Holy Ghost took over. We were supposed to address about why it takes women so long to put their makeup on and different things like that. But
we're really gonna talk about that.
That's what though was supposed to be for. So,
but guess what though? You can answer that.
Took over.
Yeah, but we can answer that, because there might be some men out there that want to know, or some women that might want to know, why does it take us so long to get dressed, or why does it take us so long to put ourselves together? I mean, we are the jewel in his crown. So in order for us to be that jewel in his crown, we're not gonna go out there with a hole in our pantyhose, or we're not gonna go out there with stuff not matching or stuff not together, because you're supposed to compliment your king. So I mean, honestly, I don't really know too many men that want you to go out without your deodorant on. I mean, do y'all?
That's right. And so, Tina Marie, listen to you. I want to ask you something. Can men and women be friends?
Yes. Yes, they can be friends. They can be friends. Okay, let's keep it real. Woo! They can be friends. I think when you first come together, you have to have open, honest communication and what each other want. This female may not want you as a man, and vice versa. But you absolutely, you know what? One of my best friends in high school was a guy. My best friend. Oh my goodness. I have friends now. Now I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't know if they're friends now because they gave up. They knew they wasn't gonna get it, so they said, "Well, I just want to be her friend. I just want to be in her life some kind of way, so I'll just be her friend." I mean, I don't know. They're not around me too often, but I believe that a man and a woman can be friends. But I think that if there's some sort of attraction, or what's some chemicals in the body that
Pheromones.
Pheromones.
The chemistry though, but I think you go back to communication though. You have to communicate what it is that you want, and they have to communicate what it is that you want. And if it doesn't align, then I think that's when you can't be friends. But I think it's all this dishonesty that's floating around that cause for men and women not to be friends. Because I've had some male friends that added a lot of value to my life. I added value to their life, and we weren't trying to sleep together. You know, they had their people, whatever. So it's like, I just believe that it's the maturity in the relationship, and it's a person not trying to manipulate the situation to get close to you. I think if they're manipulating the situation to get close to you, it is not set on a foundation of honesty. And if it's set on the foundation of honesty, then I think anything is possible. So we're down to 1 minute, ladies. Look how quickly the time flies when you're having fun. So, but I do want to say, the ladies out there that are, really wanting your king in your life, just, spend some time with yourself. Learn yourself. Learn to appreciate and love yourself. Do some self-talk. Do some therapy. Do some exercising. Do whatever you takes to make yourself what that man needs when you come into his life. Because I'm telling you, my mama biscuits that was sitting on top of that stove rising for 8 hours, and I'm popping them in, they taste a whole lot better than me cracking that can on that stove and popping it open, and I got them hard cardboard biscuits. So what I'm saying is, allow the time that it takes to get yourself in the proper positioning for that king. We got half a minute, not even a whole minute left. Any last remarks other than like, share, and subscribe?
Like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe. Bye, everybody. Be blessed, my beautiful sisters. Good night.
Stay safe.